Yevgeny Prigozhin was born and raised in Leningrad, now St. Petersburg, in the Soviet Union on 1 June 1961, to Violetta Prigozhina. His father died early, and so his mother supported him and his sick grandmother by working at a local hospital. His father and stepfather were of Jewish descent. During his school years, Prigozhin aspired to be a professional cross-country skier. He was trained by his stepfather Samuel Zarkoy, who was an instructor in the sport, and attended a prestigious athletics boarding school from which he graduated in 1977. However, his career in sport was ultimately unsuccessful. In November 1979, 18-year-old Prigozhin was caught stealing and given a suspended sentence. 2 years later, in 1981, he was again caught stealing, and sentenced to 12 years imprisonment for robbery, fraud, and involving teenagers in crime. He and several accomplices were convicted of robbing apartments in upscale neighborhoods. He was pardoned in 1988 and was released in 1990. In total, he spent 9 years in detention. Personal life. Prigozhin is married to Lyubov Valentinovna Prigozhina, a pharmacist and businesswoman. She owns a network of boutique stores known as the Chocolate Museum in St. Petersburg. In 2012, she started the Crystal Spa and Lounge, a day spa located along Zhukovsky Street in St. Petersburg, which won a third-place award in 2013 for the perfect urban day spa. She owns a wellness center in the Leningrad region and a boutique hotel called the Crystal Spa and Residence, which won the Perfect Spa Project Award in 2013. She owns the New Technologies Spa LLC, which is located at Plot 1, Granichная Street in Lakhta Park, Sestroretsik, Kuratny District, St. Petersburg. She is also the owner of Agate, part of the Concord Group, Russian, Agate, 149. The couple has 2 daughters, Polina, born 1992, and Veronica, born 2005, and a son Pavel, born in either 1996 or 1998. Until the invasion of Ukraine, Prigozhin's children were able to move freely across the European Union. On the 20th of February 2022, Prigozhin's daughter Veronica took part in equestrian competitions in Spain. Prigozhin's mother, Violetta Prigozhina, is a former doctor and educator, and the current legal owner of Concord Management and Consulting LLC since 2011, since 2010, and Credo LLC since 2011. All above family members were sanctioned by the European Union, the United States, Ukraine, and many other countries due to Prigozhin's involvement in Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So this was his personal life. After his release from prison in 1990, Prigozhin began selling hot dogs alongside his mother and stepfather at the Apraxin Dvor open-air market in Leningrad. Soon, according to a New York Times interview with him, the rubles were piling up faster than his mother could count them. The Novaya Gazeta notes that this may be when Prigozhin met Vladimir Putin for the first time, as Putin was chairman of the supervisory board for casinos and gambling since 1991. In 1995, Prigozhin entered the restaurant business. He hosted U.S. President George W. Bush in 2002. By 2003, he left his business partners and established his own independent restaurants. However, MSK LLC shares the same contact phone number with Concord. In 2017, they estimated his illegal wealth to be worth more than 1 billion rubles. Alexei Navalny alleged that Prigozhin was linked to a company called Moskovsky Shkolnik, Moscow Schoolboy, that had supplied poor-quality food to Moscow schools, which had caused a 2019 dysentery outbreak. Wagner Group. Prigozhin is the self-reported founder of the controversial Kremlin-affiliated private military contractor Wagner Group. On the 26th of September 2022, Prigozhin stated that he founded the Wagner Group specifically to support Russian forces in the war in Donbass, in May 2014. Since then, their activities have expanded to cover many regions in Africa and the Middle East. Even before it was confirmed, there was already relative consensus amongst Russian and foreign media that Prigozhin was either the founder of or strongly linked to Wagner. The group was publicly led by Dmitry Utkin, who was once head of security for Prigozhin. A person by the name of Dmitry Utkin was also listed as Director General of Prigozhin's Concord Management. In November 2016, the company confirmed to Russian media that the same Dmitry Utkin leading the Wagner Group was now in charge of Prigozhin's food businesses. In February 2018, Concord and Prigozhin denied any connection to Wagner. In February 2018, Wagner attacked US-backed Kurdish forces in Syria in an attempt to take an oil field. During the retaliatory airstrike by US armed forces, 10 to 100 of its mercenaries were killed. In July 2018, 3 Russian journalists working for a news organization often critical of the Russian government were murdered in the Central African Republic, where they had been attempting to investigate the activities of the Wagner Group in that country. The Russian government had begun a collaboration with the President of the Central African Republic in October 2017. In its response to the killings, Russia's foreign ministry stressed that the dead journalists had been traveling without official accreditation. Involvement in the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. See also, Wagner Group section Russian invasion of Ukraine, 2022. Wagner has also played a significant role during and prior to the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. Prigozhin even traveled to the Donbass to personally oversee the group's progress. He was pictured at the front line wearing military fatigues alongside Russian Duma member Vitaly Milanov. In August 2022, Wagner Group began using billboards to recruit new members in Russia. Former journalist and observer of the group, Denis Korotkov, said, "It looks like they have decided that they will no longer try to hide their existence." In September 2022, a leaked video exposed Prigozhin attempting to recruit convicts to bolster the Russian forces on the front lines in the war against Ukraine. He said to the convicts, "Nobody goes back behind bars, and to those uncomfortable with the idea, it's either prisoners or your children, you decide." While the video was filmed at a penal colony in Yoshkar Ola to recruit shock troops, there is evidence that convicts from a penal colony in St. Petersburg had been recruited previously. On the 26th of September, Prigozhin walked back his previous claims that he had no connection with the group, releasing a statement on the Russian social media website VK wherein he admitted that he had founded it in May 2014 to protect the Russians, when the genocide of the Russian population of Donbass began. He explained that he played a personal role from the start, claiming that he found specialists who could help, after cleaning the old weapons and sorting out the bulletproof vests, himself. He confirmed allegations, previously denied by the Russian government, that the group had been involved in other countries aligned with Russian overseas interests, stating that the Wagner mercenaries who defended the Syrian people, other people of Arab countries, destitute Africans and Latin Americans have become the pillars of our motherland. On the 23rd of October 2022, Prigozhin said his forces were making advances of 100 to 200 meters, 330 to 660 feet, per day, which he claimed is the norm for modern warfare. He praised the Ukrainian defenders of Bakhmut, saying that, "Our units are constantly meeting with the most fierce enemy resistance, and I note that the enemy is well prepared, motivated, and works confidently and harmoniously." On the 13th of November 2022, Wagner Group released a video depicting its mercenaries using a sledgehammer to execute Yevgeny Prigozhin, a deserter who had reportedly been returned to the Russians in a prisoner exchange. Prigozhin commented, "It seems to me that this film should be called, 'A Dog Dies a Dog's Death.' It was an excellent directional piece of work, watched in one breath. I hope no animals were harmed during filming." Retired Ukrainian Colonel Serhiy Rabsky suggested the Wagner Group was seeking glory in capturing Bakhmut, as Prigozhin was poised to reap significant monetary and political rewards if Wagner captured the city on behalf of the Russian government. Prigozhin himself had previously suggested Wagner was deliberately turning Bakhmut into a meat grinder to inflict heavy attritional casualties in Ukrainian forces. One Western official gave an inverse view, saying the battle is giving Ukraine a unique opportunity to kill a lot of Russians, due to purportedly poor Russian tactics. On the 9th of April, Ukraine claimed that the Wagner Group was losing around 100 people a day, counting only the dead, and that Russia was forced to deploy paratroopers and motorized brigades into the city because of the heavy losses that the group had suffered. Prigozhin himself later admitted on the 30th of April that his forces had lost 94 men killed in the city that day alone, with another 99 deaths the following day's offensive actions. He once again underscored that they are taking more than 5 times as many losses as he expected. On the 4th of May 2023, Prigozhin cautioned against the use of nuclear weapons in response to the 2023 Kremlin drone attack, saying that, "We look like clowns threatening to use nuclear weapons in response to a child's drone." On the 1st of October 2022, he said about the commanders of the Russian army that all these bastards ought to be sent to the front barefoot with just a submachine gun. He called members of the Putin-controlled Russian parliament useless, and said that the deputies should go to the front, adding that those people who have been talking from tribunes for years need to start doing something. The Washington Post reported that Prigozhin was one of the few people who dared to tell Putin about the mistakes of Russian military commanders in the war in Ukraine. On the 5th of May 2023, he announced that, due to a lack of ammunition, his fighters would leave Bakhmut on the 10th of May 2023 and hand over their positions to units of the Russian Defense Ministry if they didn't get more ammunition. He blamed Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Chief of the Russian Armed Forces General Valery Gerasimov for tens of thousands of Wagner casualties, saying, "They came here as volunteers and are dying so you can sit like fat cats in your luxury offices." In May 2023, he condemned the luxurious lifestyle of the children of Russia's top officials and in particular singled out Shoigu's son-in-law Alexei Stolyarov for not joining the Russian army. Prigozhin complained that the children of the elites smother themselves with creams and show this on Instagram, YouTube and so on, while ordinary people's kids return home torn apart in zinc-lined coffins. On the 27th of May 2023, Igor Girkin accused Prigozhin of plotting to use the Wagner Group to stage a coup within Russia and that Prigozhin was actively violating Russian 2022 war censorship laws by complaining about the Russian high command, and that his forces were practically in an active state of mutiny. On the 29th of May, Prigozhin stated that Wagner did not have the forces necessary to stage a coup. Instead, he suggested that Shoigu might be plotting to stage a coup. June 2023 Rebellion. Main article: Wagner Group Rebellion. In a video released on the 23rd of June 2023, Prigozhin said that Russian government justifications for the Russian invasion of Ukraine were based on lies. He accused the Russian Defense Ministry under Shoigu of trying to deceive society and the president and tell us how there was crazy aggression from Ukraine and that they were planning to attack us with the whole of NATO. On the 23rd of June 2023, Prigozhin claimed that regular Russian armed forces had launched missile strikes against Wagner forces, killing a huge number. He called for a response, stating, "The Council of Commanders of PMC Wagner has made a decision. The evil that the military leadership of the country brings must be stopped." In response, criminal charges were filed against Prigozhin by the Russian Federal Security Service, FSB, for inciting an armed rebellion. PMC Wagner subsequently withdrew from Ukraine, occupied the Russian city of Rostov-on-Don, and headed for Moscow. President Putin decried the action as treason and vowed to quash the uprising. Following talks between Prigozhin and Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, charges were dropped and Wagner ceased its march on Moscow. As part of the agreement, Prigozhin will move to Belarus and Wagner troops will return to Ukraine.